Hello everyone. In this video I want to talk about an issue that I have with Makoto's characterization early on in Persona 5. Note that I have not played the whole game yet, but nonetheless I feel compelled to articulate my feelings while the matter is still relatively fresh in my mind. From what I have seen, the game seems to want to portray Makoto as intelligent when really she acts kind of stupid. Or at least the Phantom Thieves seem to treat her as way smarter than she actually is. As an example, one of Makoto's first appearances occurs when she first confronts the Phantom Thieves on the rooftop. Throughout the scene, her demeanor is smug and confrontational, leading Morgana to remark immediately afterwards that she is on to them. He then further remarks that she seems rather sharp, and none of the other Phantom Thieves contradict him. However, in my opinion, this conversation actually makes her seem rather stupid. As far as I can tell, she has accomplished nothing by doing this, except raising the Phantom Thieves' suspicions. And as far as I can tell, it would have been much better for her to let them continue to have their meetings on the rooftop, since that way she knows where they are and should relatively easily be able to spy on them. You've all heard the cliche, keep your friends close and your enemies closer, right? Just look at Mishima. He probably could have got way more evidence on the Phantom Thieves than Makoto ever did, just by acting friendly toward them. If he wanted to, he could have secretly recorded his conversations with the protagonist, as well as made predictions on whose heart would change based on the quests he told the Phantom Thieves about. In this way, he could have built a case that there actually is a correlation between the fan postings and people actually having their hearts changed. Of course, Makoto does eventually record a conversation from the Phantom Thieves, and uses the recording to blackmail them into changing Kanashiro's heart. In my opinion, cooperating with this was a dumb move by the Phantom Thieves, as it only provides more evidence that they are who Makoto thinks they are. It seems like it would have been smarter to just claim that the conversation Makoto recorded was just a bit of Phantom Thief role-playing, as there really isn't anything she could have done to refute that. But I guess the plot had to move along somehow. Anyways, as the investigation on Kanashiro continues, we learn a bit more about Makoto's character. In addition to being pressured to succeed in her investigations by the school principal, she also has to deal with Sae lashing out at her and the fact that the student body generally dislikes her. She has no friends to speak of at this point, and no support system. Put in this situation, it's hard for Makoto not to feel at least somewhat hopeless and depressed. And if I were in her position, I imagine I would be having some self-esteem issues, even despite being a relatively high achiever. So it makes sense that she might get desperate and act without regard for her own safety, as she does when she chooses to confront the mafia criminals directly and ask that she be taken to Kanashiro. She wants to make up for not doing anything about Kamoshida and to prove to others and herself that she can act selflessly. Of course, it doesn't really end well, and she ends up forcing the Phantom Thieves to bail her out at great personal risk. It makes sense that she would do this from the perspective of her character, but what doesn't make sense to me is how the Phantom Thieves decide to treat her afterwards. For some reason, even after doing something as dumb as what I just described, the Phantom Thieves still show little hesitation in letting her into their group. Furthermore, Makoto is cocky enough to claim a role as the brain of the team, and everybody just kind of goes along with it, despite the fact that this character has been acting, in my opinion, very foolishly up until this point. She's a loose cannon. Sure, it was a good move to record the Phantom Thieves' conversations, but it was only possible because they decided to discuss their business in relatively open public spaces to begin with. That has less to do with Makoto being smart and more to do with the Phantom Thieves being really, really stupid, either for the sake of the plot or because the writers just wanted to portray them that way for some reason. If I had the ability to rewrite this part of the game, I would change it such that Makoto was more apologetic after the Kanashiro incident, and in turn, I would have had the Phantom Thieves be a little more cautious about giving her authority. I think it still makes sense that she would want to join them, and I think it still makes sense for the Phantom Thieves to let her join, since she is clearly valuable in combat and is personally invested in the case, but I think they should have relegated her to following orders for a while. Over time, she would still offer her ideas to help with palace infiltration, and then as these ideas prove useful, she could slowly gain the trust of the Phantom Thieves, until by the end of the Kanashiro Palace they finally acknowledge her to have some planning skills, and decide that they can rely on her. I think this would be a better arc because the game could actually show her learning some humility from her reckless actions, and then we could see how this humility, combined with her newfound motivation to work for justice, allows her to keep a level head and act in the best interest of the group. As it stands now, it just feels like she's being given a lot of trust despite having changed little as a character, which makes her arc, which should feel redeeming, feel instead kind of contrived and static. Maybe she gets better later on, though, I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching, and if you have any thoughts, go ahead and comment.